You close the bathroom door, and somehow, before you even finish turning the handle, there's already a paw scratching at the bottom of it. Or maybe your dog just pushes it open with their nose, walks straight in, sits down, stares at you, completely unbothered by the fact that this is arguably the one moment in your entire day when you'd like to be left alone. Most people assume one of two things. Either their dog is incredibly nosy or incredibly needy. And both of those explanations feel kind of insulting when you actually stop to think about what's going on. Because what's happening when your dog follows you into the bathroom isn't about nosiness. It isn't about clinginess. It isn't even really about loyalty, even though that's the word most owners reach for first. It's about something much older than loyalty, much deeper than habit. And once you understand it, you'll never see that paw under the door the same way again. Let's start with the explanation that sounds right, but isn't. People say their dog follows them because they want to protect them. That's sweet, but think about it for a second. Your dog weighs maybe 40 pounds. You are in a locked room in your own home. There is nothing to protect you from. Your dog knows this. They live here. Others say it's separation anxiety, and sure, for some dogs that's part of the picture. But here's the thing researchers actually found when they studied this behavior. Following their owner around the house, including into the bathroom, is completely normal in all dogs. Even dogs with zero anxiety. Even calm, independent, confident dogs do it. So separation anxiety might explain some cases. It doesn't explain the behavior itself. And the behavior itself is far more interesting. To understand what's really happening, you need to go back about 15,000 years. Dogs are the only animal domesticated before the invention of agriculture, before cities, before writing, before any of the structures that define human civilization. Wolves began approaching human camps, drawn to fire and to food scraps left at the edges of settlements. And something extraordinary happened. The wolves that were least afraid of humans, the ones that stayed close instead of running, survived better. They had access to food, protection, warmth. They bred. Their pups inherited that tolerance. Generation after generation, across thousands of years, those wolves became dogs. And here's the part that most people miss. That process didn't just change dogs physically. It rewired their brains at a fundamental level. Dogs didn't just evolve to tolerate human company. They evolved to need it, to seek it, to organize their entire emotional world around it. Geneticists have found that dogs carry specific genetic insertions in a region associated with extreme human-directed friendliness and contact seeking. Wolves don't have them. Your dog was literally shaped at a genetic level to want to be near you, to close the distance between you the moment it opens up. There's an ancient burial site in Germany, dated to 14,000 years ago, where archaeologists found two humans interred side by side, and two dogs buried alongside them. One of those dogs had survived a severe illness that would have required weeks of intensive care. Someone had nursed that animal through it. Someone had decided that dog was worth saving. Not a tool, not a resource. Family. That's how far back this goes. That's what kind of bond we're talking about. And the science of what that bond actually looks like is stunning. Researchers took the same psychological test used to measure the bond between a mother and her infant, a procedure called the strange situation test, and adapted it for dogs. They brought owner-dog pairs into an unfamiliar room, let the owner leave, watched what happened. The results were striking. Dogs showed the exact same patterns of behavior that human infants display when separated from their mothers. They sought proximity when the owner was present. They showed clear distress when the owner left. They calmed when reunited. And around 61% of the dogs tested were classified as securely attached, almost identical to the proportion found in human toddlers. Researchers found that the human-dog relationship is functionally analogous to a child-parent bond. The same structure, the same need, the same relief when the safe person comes back. In other words, what your dog feels when you walk into the bathroom and close the door isn't mild inconvenience. It's the same fundamental need for closeness that a 2-year-old feels when their mother walks out of the room. Your dog is not being dramatic. Their nervous system is responding exactly the way 15,000 years of evolution built it to respond. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. Because this isn't just psychology, it's chemistry. Researchers measured oxytocin levels, the bonding hormone, the same chemical that floods a mother's brain when she holds her newborn for the first time, in both dogs and their owners during interaction. And what they found was extraordinary. When a dog gazes at their owner and the owner gazes back, both of them experience a surge in oxytocin simultaneously. Across species, the dog's levels rise, the owner's levels rise, which makes the dog want to gaze more, which releases more oxytocin in the owner, which deepens the bond, which makes the owner gaze back again. It's a self-reinforcing loop, a neurochemical feedback system that no other animal on Earth shares with humans. The researchers tested the same interaction with hand-raised wolves and their owners. The loop didn't activate at all. This co-evolved specifically between dogs and humans over thousands of years of living together, working together, sleeping next to each other in the dark. So when your dog pushes that bathroom door open and just stands there looking at you, they're not invading your privacy. They're completing a loop that's been running between your two species for longer than recorded history. That's not neediness, that's chemistry you both share. And the more you look back, the stronger it gets. But there's a third layer to this, and it might be the most important one. Because your dog isn't just following you out of attachment. They're following you because they can read you, with a precision that is genuinely startling. Researchers studying canine responses to human emotion expose dogs to 4 conditions: their owner crying, their owner humming, their owner in casual conversation, then a complete stranger doing all of the same things. What happened was remarkable. Dogs approach people who are crying significantly more often than people who are talking or humming. They move toward distress. They move gently, submissively, like they were trying not to alarm anyone. But the part that rules out simple habit or self-interest is this. When a stranger cried, not their owner, a person they had never met before, the dogs didn't go to their owner for comfort. They went to the stranger. They nuzzled them, sniffed them, leaned against them. They were responding to the emotion itself, not to a familiar face, not to their own anxiety, to the emotion. Your dog doesn't need you to say a word. They read your distress in your posture, in the pace of your breathing, in the way your body moves differently when something is wrong. So on the days you're most desperate for 5 minutes alone in the bathroom, there is a real possibility your dog isn't following you out of habit. They're following you because they felt something shift in you, and they decided not to leave you with it alone. Here's the thing we almost always get backwards about this behavior. We treat it as something our dog is doing because of what they need: anxiety, dependency, neediness. But the science keeps pointing in the opposite direction. Following is a relational behavior. It's not about your dog being unable to cope without you. It's about the fact that they have organized their entire emotional world around you. You are their secure base, the point from which safety radiates outward. And that is not a problem. That is one of the most profound things one creature can do for another. Sleep is the most vulnerable state any animal can be in. Eating is. Going to the bathroom is. And your dog chooses to be near their secure base during those moments. Not because they're afraid of being alone, because that is simply where home is. You are their home, not the house, you. Think about what it would actually mean if a person in your life organized their emotional world around you that completely. If every time you moved, they wanted to be near you. If they didn't care what mood you were in, what you looked like, what you'd done that week, they just wanted to be close. We would call that devotion. We would say that person loved us without condition. And then our dog does exactly that every single day. And we call it a behavioral issue. There is one thing worth paying close attention to, though, and this one matters. If your dog has followed you everywhere for months or years, into the bathroom, from room to room, upstairs and back down, and then one day they just stop, don't brush it off. Veterinary researchers have found that changes in following behavior are one of the earliest signs of pain or illness in dogs. They appear before limping, before whimpering, before anything obvious. The motivation disappears quietly before the symptoms become visible. A dog who stops shadowing their person is worth a second look, especially if it lasts more than a couple of days. Behavior is the only language they have. A change in that language is a message. But if your dog is still there, still following you down the hall at midnight, still pushing that bathroom door open with their nose and sitting on the bath mat while you brush your teeth, still staring at you with those completely unashamed, completely sincere eyes, that isn't a problem to fix. That is your dog doing the most honest thing they know how to do. Saying, in the only way they can, wherever you are is where I want to be, without condition, without expectation, without needing a single reason, without ever once asking for anything back. Most of us will spend our whole lives hoping someone will love us exactly like that, and yours already does, every single day, including the days you close the door. If this made you see your dog differently, subscribe to this channel, and drop a comment below. Does your dog follow you everywhere, or wait patiently outside the door? I want to know.